Hi everybody! Welcome back to the Butterfly House video series on pollinators. I'm Chris Hartley, Science Education Coordinator at the Butterfly House, and the subject of today's video is flies. Now I know for most of our viewers, flies are undesirables. House flies, horse flies, annoying flies that buzz in our face when we're outside trying to enjoy a nice summer evening, right? Well, those flies are definitely part of the picture. But flies as a group are so diverse and so wonderful that they definitely deserve closer consideration than that. Flies are incredibly important pollinators. You can see examples of two pollinating flies on the front of my book here, which is all about flies. These are flower flies. They are incredibly colorful. They have wonderful patterns. Many of them mimic bees and wasps, which gives them some measure of protection as they're visiting flowers. And they're just really so much more than the common bothersome flies that we think of. Let me show you another example of a pollinating fly. This fly has an incredibly long mouth part, similar to maybe the long proboscis of a butterfly or a moth. Flies like this can access nectar in the very long flower tubes possessed by certain flowers. And we know that there are many flowers out there in our world that have co-evolved with their fly pollinator so that only that fly can access the nectar and thus get the rewards that the flower is offering. But what that means is that if the flower were to go extinct, the fly would probably go extinct. And if the fly pollinator were to go extinct, there would be nothing else to pollinate that flower. So it would go extinct too. Many flower-fly relationships are even more complex than that, with some flowers giving off the odor or the perfume of rotting meat or something like that to attract flies that feed on carcasses. But they don't find what they're looking for. Instead, they find a flower that needs pollinating, which they do very well. So here's another selection of flies that do visit flowers to pollinate them. And as you can see in this photo assembly, they are very diverse. They can include some very hairy flies, some very, very pretty flies, some flies that, like this one that I'm pointing to right here, you might even be more familiar with in other contexts, like maybe even on roadkill. But they do in fact visit flowers, and as you can see in this photo, they're also very beautiful, really emerald green or sapphire blue. Here's another example of flies that visit flowers. These are various bee flies which mimic bumblebees and honeybees. They're actually very, very fuzzy, almost like a bee, and like the one I was showing you earlier, have mouth parts specially designed to let them access nectar and other rewards within flowers. Here is one more photo assembly showing some of the diversity of flies that we have. And this is a fly that actually does mimic the honeybee. This is one that's very common even in our area that you could see, and you have to look very closely indeed to tell that it is not, in fact, a bee. But it does gain protection by looking like a bee, and many predators will leave it alone. Now, besides their many, many roles as pollinators, flies also have other roles in our ecology that we should thank them for. They're primary decomposers in many ecosystems. In fact, the maggots, which are really fly larvae, that make many of us squirm to think about, are doing a very important job of decomposing either the vegetable or animal matter that they live in. Without them, our world would be a very different place, as that decomposition would not happen. So we really, as a species, owe flies a great thanks. They also play roles in food chains around the world, both as predators, there are flies that eat other pest bugs, and as food for larger animals, including birds and bats and other animals that we know need all the support they can get. So there's much more to learn about flies, and we at the Butterfly House encourage you to take a closer look at them next time you're in your flower garden. We're not done with Pollinator Week yet. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be back with you to talk about another lesser-known group of pollinating insects, the beetles. Until tomorrow, comment below, ask us questions. We'll be happy to fill you in with everything that we can. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.